Here is my review of Kong Skull Island. I know it's a little late. We had the weekend. We had a lot of stuff happening. I just thought I'd talk about it. I don't know, maybe you want to hear my opinion, get it feel before you go out and see it on the weekdays coming out this week. So let's just quickly talk about what I thought of this movie. When it was announced, I was super excited to see this movie. I thought everything we seen in the trailers and the posters blew me away. The one that was the homage to Apocalypse Now is one I wanted to hang up in my room. I wanted to hang that up. The posters were brilliant. Everything we saw in the trailers was brilliant. The casting was brilliant. This movie was not brilliant. I'm not saying I hate this movie. You can't hate this movie. You watch this movie, you're not going to hate it. You're going to be like, well, it's fine, it's decent. And if you love it, I understand if you love it. But you can't walk about there saying this movie looked bad or anything like that. So right off the bat, the visuals, the color palette, the tone, the feel, the world, the costumes, everything like that, it looked incredible. I really got the vibe of the 60s and the 80s that they were going for here. I got the feel of the world. I think the colors were vibrant. They were beautiful. Everything looked so good. Seeing the jungle, seeing the lakes, everything was so gorgeous. And the costumes that the military people wore, everything like that, it just looked so vibrant. It looked so great. And it had this really nice vibe to it. That was one of the highlights of this movie for me. I walked out there thinking, man, that looked so good. It looked so incredible. The sets, I don't know if a lot of these were CGI or not, but the sets and that just looked incredible. There's so many unique things and storytelling elements. Just the way it looked visually, it was mind-boggling. It was mind-blowing. I fell in love with that part of it. Where this movie fails to some aspect is in the characters. And right off the bat, so let's talk about the story before we get into the characters. The story is, there's these things going on Skull Island. It's been off the map. Nobody's actually traversed there before. They haven't seen it. So we have this group of people, John Goodman, some other people who we don't care about. It's just John Goodman. He's like, let's go check it out. I want some military escorts. And we learn that, yeah, John Goodman's character works for the same company we saw in the Godzilla movie. Nice connection there. Wasn't really force-fed to you. You just kind of figured as you watched it. I liked that. It was really interesting. So, we get the military escorts, we get Sam Jackson, of course Samuel L. Jackson, just being himself, I think, pretty much. Toby Kebbell being a really interesting character, somebody I wish we saw more of in this thing. And then they have to hire a tracker. I don't know why, because, I don't know, pretty faces, I guess. We have Tom Hiddleston. Now, I haven't talked about Tom Hiddleston a lot. I don't think the guy's a good actor. Now, that's not saying he doesn't do some good roles. I think him as Loki was really good in the first Thor movie, and I think he kind of phoned it in Avengers and the Dark World and all that. I'm excited to see Ragnarok. But anything else I've seen him in, I don't think the guy can act. And this movie justified my feeling of that. And I know this has a lot to do with the script. It has a lot to do with the direction and all of that. But his character did nothing. His character was useless. He was a tracker, that's all we got. The first time we see him, we get this really stupid fight scene in like a bar where he's using a pool stick. It was stupid, it pissed me off. Then his character did nothing after that except look attractive and just kind of like try to take the lead. It was kind of dumb, it bothered me. And Tom Hiddleston, I like you, dude. You gotta get better. You're an okay actor. I don't think you're that good. But this movie didn't sell me on you. I hope Ragnarok does. So he's our tracker, and God knows why he's our tracker. And here's the stupidest role in this entire movie, which pisses me off because out of all the actors in this movie, Brie Larson is by far my favorite. I love Toby Kebbell. I think he was great in his episode of Black Mirror. I thought he was incredible as Koba in the Planet of the Apes movies. I love John Goodman. The Big Lebowski is one of my favorite movies. I love Samuel L. Jackson. I can't name the best performers because he's done so many good ones. But Brie Larson, she just carries this weight. She's incredible. She's funny. She's smart. She's just an incredible individual to watch on screen. But my lord, her character did absolutely nothing. Her whole thing, she can take pictures. Whoop-de-fucking-do. Who can't take a picture? I get it. She's supposed to be this big deal, but we just need her to look good and not do anything. She did less than Tom Hiddleston. and that made me mad. You have one female lead in this movie, Brie Larson. She just got off winning her Academy Award for Room, and you just have her take pictures and not do anything. She hardly says anything. It's so annoying, and it was just so dumb to see her and Tom Hiddleston running around. These characters, they were flat. There was nothing to them for any of the characters. Except, and this is the one exception for the character, John C. Reilly. His character was so intriguing, he was so fun, he was so fresh, and I understood why they had this character in this movie. He's been on the island for a long time, he knows about the history. I loved his character. He's really fun. He really made this movie have a different feel to it. And I think if you just kept his character in there, you got rid of Hiddleston and Larson, you can keep Samuel L. Jackson, John Goodman, those guys make sense. And we focused more on the characters instead of some of the other stuff. This movie would have been a lot better. So another thing I kind of had a problem with, and if you don't have a problem with this, I understand. I get it. Some of the visuals in the CGI bothered me. There were some beautiful things in the CGI. Some beautiful things. Some of the creatures looked so good. And then you get to some of the other ones I thought just looked terrible. And that's the skull crawlers, skull crushers, whatever you want to call them. I don't know what John C. Reilly calls them. But I didn't like the way those things looked. The CGI didn't do really well for me. Some of the other creatures looked really good. The big water buffalo looking thing, the spider thing, those looked really good. I liked the way that looked. So now let's talk about probably the big draw of this movie for a lot of people. Kong. King Kong. The way they handled King Kong in this movie, I really liked. It was way better than the way they handled Godzilla in the 2014 movie. I think Kong, the character of Kong was represented really well in this. You've seen him, he's a young guy still. And if we're going to get that Kong vs. Godzilla movie, he's going to get older. A lot of that stuff's going to happen. I get that. Sometimes the CGI bothered me of Kong. I can obviously tell it was fake. There was a few scenes where I just thought it didn't look good to me. But other times I was really on board with it. They did a lot of good motion capture of Kong, the way he moved, the way he acted. I really liked it. The stuff where he wasn't involved with the other characters, I thought was the best stuff with Kong. And there's not a lot wrong with Kong. Sometimes the CGI bothered me. It didn't look good sometimes. But other than that, I think Kong was handled really well. The character was good. He was probably the best character in the movie. And I don't know if I'm really excited to see King Kong vs. Godzilla. I mean, I'm going to watch it. I just think it's kind of dumb. I don't know. The directing of this movie, I liked it. There were some really good camera angles and framework and a lot of stuff like that looked really nice. The editing was really well done. But sometimes it just felt too stylized and too kind of not well. And I guess it depends on your taste. And I like style like that. Sometimes it works, but sometimes it just feels force-fed in to give it this more stylized pose and stylized look, and I don't know, it just kind of bothered me sometimes. I liked the action. The action was fine. Where this movie really faults is the story and the characters. That's the big draw away from this. And so that's it. That's what I got for you on that. Something else, though, that bothered me was, and this isn't a big problem, but they played so many songs in this movie. And I'm okay with that. They want to have a good soundtrack, that's cool. But it was song after song, and it just felt like they were doing too much of it at once, so that kind of bothered me. But overall, it was alright. I could get over it. So what I have to say about Kong is, if you like action movies with big monsters, now you're going to like this movie. If you don't care about character development or story, you're going to like this movie. There's some really good actors in here. If you like Tom Hiddleston, by means, go watch this movie. I mean, I don't care, okay? Just do it. There's so much good in this movie, and if they fix the stuff that's bad, this would be a really good movie. Overall, I'm going to give this movie a 61%. 61%. So that's going to do it for me. Go check out Kong Skull Island. It's a really something film. Alright, I'll catch you in the next video, and good luck.